Having a great friend at work, it can be an absolute game changer, right? They make the tough days feel manageable and the good days feel even better. But what happens when that supportive connection starts to feel just a little too close for comfort? Well, today, we're going to get into how to reset those really important, but sometimes really overwhelming workplace relationships.
So let's just ask the tough question right out of the gate. Is that person, the one you trust, the one you vent to, actually becoming a source of stress? It's a really common problem, but it's one we feel so guilty even thinking about. So you know what? Let's get real about it.
Look, having a trusted colleague is a good thing. It's that human connection that makes the workplace feel, well, safer. The issue starts when that line between personal and professional gets all blurry. And that's when you get what our source material calls emotional confusion. Suddenly, that supportive bond starts to feel like a real emotional weight.
Okay, so before we can even think about fixing the external relationship, we have to look inward. The solution really begins with strengthening what the source material calls your professional root.
So, what even is this root? Think of it as your core sense of stability, your personal and professional anchor. When your root is healthy, you feel grounded, you feel secure, and you can just naturally maintain the boundaries you need to really thrive.
So let's do a quick check-in. How's your root doing? A healthy one feels secure, right? The boundaries are clear. But when it's out of whack, those boundaries can get either way too soft and undefined, letting everything and everyone in, or they can get super rigid, shutting everybody out. See if you recognize yourself on either side here.
And this really gets to the heart of it. A strong foundation isn't just about being stable. It's about having the mental and emotional space to do your best work. You need that room to think clearly and to grow. Without that space to breathe, you're just going to feel suffocated.
So how do you actually know when you've lost that space? Let's dive into the warning signs, the little red flags that tell you a friendship has crossed over from being supportive to being straight up draining.
Here are 5 big ones. Are you getting pinged with non-work messages constantly after hours? How about that specific kind of emotional fatigue that comes from always managing someone else's crises? Maybe the connection just feels a little intense, almost like there's a romanticism to it. Or maybe you've noticed you're pulling back from other colleagues, or you just feel this low-level guilt or anxiety about the friendship itself. Honestly, that guilt, that's usually a huge sign that something needs to change.
And the professional consequences of all this, they are very, very real. This kind of over-integration leads to what experts call resource exhaustion. Your mental and emotional batteries are just completely drained. It makes your role at work feel confusing and, ultimately it just tanks your productivity.
But don't worry, there is absolutely a way back to balance. It's a strategy called the professional pivot, and it's a really practical, non-confrontational way to reset the dynamic without, burning the whole bridge down.
It all boils down to 3 really clear steps. First, the soft reset. Second, something called time boxing. And third, using a few simple communication scripts. So let's walk through each one.
All right, step 1, the soft reset. Now, this is not some big dramatic confrontation. It's just about gradually and gently steering conversations back to neutral, work-related stuff. So if they start going deep on personal drama, you can just guide things back to that project update or what the team's goals are for the week.
Next up is time boxing, and this one is so effective. All you do is limit the personal chats to specific, appropriate times, like on your lunch break or a coffee run. It naturally creates a boundary that protects your focus when you actually need to be working.
Of course, you need the right words to make this work. So let's look at a couple of scripts. This first one, it's perfect for those in-the-moment interruptions. It's polite, it's clear, and it offers a specific time to connect later. It puts the focus on your need to work, which is totally fair.
Now this second script, this is a total game changer for setting digital boundaries. And notice how it's framed as a personal decision. I've realized I need to, which makes it about your own well-being, not about their behavior. It's just a really powerful and respectful way to get your personal time back. Okay, so you have the tools, but let's be real for a second. Actually doing this can feel super awkward. So let's talk about how to get through that discomfort while actually protecting the friendship for the long haul. First things first, it is 100% normal to feel guilty or worried that you're somehow rejecting your friend. But you have to remember this crucial point. A relationship doesn't have to be bad or toxic to need a new definition. This is all about recalibration, not rejection.
And the stakes here can be incredibly high, especially when the power dynamics at work change. Get this, A whopping 70% of people have lost a friendship after becoming that person's manager. That number is just staggering, and it's a huge reminder that without clear boundaries, these relationships can really fracture under pressure.
And this brings us to what might be the most important takeaway of all. As this slide says, setting boundaries isn't something you do to end a friendship, it's what you do to preserve it. Clear structures, mutual respect, that's what allows a real friendship to actually last, especially in the workplace.
Ultimately, this all comes back to one simple but really powerful idea. You have to be your authentic self at work, but without losing your professional identity. And to do that, you have to protect your space to breathe. Trust me, your career and your friendships will be so much stronger for it.